If you need a quick outline for how to build a great team, this is how you do it. And I call it the H.O.W, the how. So how do you build trust? Because trust ultimately is the foundation. When you talk, Brantley, about your contractor not or acting out with a client, right? Because another client didn't pay, what's going on? What's going on is he's feeling he's not trusting anymore, right? He's feeling that the trust is nicked, and he doesn't have anything to do with trust with you or trust with the client who is paying him. It has to do with the trust with the client that he contracted with, that he's not getting paid in a way that he wants to get paid, right? Trust is the foundation of a relationship. So how do we build trust with our people? And so the first step is the holes, right? The how, the H in the how is the holes. Understand and bridge their and our gaps, right? When we as a team, when we do goal setting and we're trying to think about our gap, where we are and where we want to go, right? We're very clear on the steps we need to take. But when we're working as a team, we have to think about the gaps of the team, right? So the idea there, as it relates to gaps, is okay, there's a payment gap here, right? There's a payment gap, and as James, as you said, hey, what's the contract look like? Well, there's a gap between what many contractors do with contracts and what Miguel's doing, what this contractor is doing with his contracts, right? He's loose, right? He's sometimes collecting deposit, other times not collecting deposit, not having a clear contract, and so forth, right? So that'll be question number one. How do we bridge that? The second is what are opportunities? Right? What are opportunities for that? And part of that is checking in with the contractor, checking in with whoever is on your team, right? So when we as a team, when you think about our team, when we as a team, the reason we work well is because we have regular check-ins. Right? We have regular check-ins. We have a team meeting. We have a whole team meeting, right? We have a small mission meeting that's going on, right? Just the agents. There are other team meetings that I'll have with ops. Then there's one-to-one meetings that we have, right? All of these check-ins are really important. It's the same with the contractor, right? So yesterday I was working with, I was at a project and meeting several different contractors, and I'm both talking with them as a whole team as well as one-to-one, right? Like a lot of, how is it common, guys, for you when you're running a contractor do you ever get into the mode where it's like you just want to spend just the time, just giving enough time to the contractor to tell them what to do, and then you're bolting? You guys ever fall into that? Right? I know I've fallen into that, right? It's just like, I got shit to do. So, but there's gotta be some built-in check-in time, right? And then there's celebrations, right? Telling the contractor, right? Saying, hey, this came out great. So I had a contractor at a property last week, and he did a great job. I mean, there was no punch list. He did a great job. Now I trust him. I have that relationship, but he did a great job. And every room that I went in, I said, this room looks great. You did a great job. By the time we finished the walkthrough, he was like, oh, he felt great. He was smiling and everything, right? Like, I'm telling him he did, so we've got to celebrate When others, that's the reason we celebrate our wins. When we're together as a team in our meetings, we celebrate our wins, right? And then there's some coaching that goes on. There's some coaching. One of the things that I do with my contractors or any vendor that we have is I coach. I'm not calling it coaching, right? But I'm offering some suggestions. So I had a conversation with one contractor, and the contractor he was having some trouble getting along with the client. And it's because he's used to explaining and explaining and explaining. And the problem is the client was getting, the more he was explaining, the more nervous the client was getting. So I said, hey, here's the thing. You're doing a great job explaining. But the problem is the client, as you're explaining it, the client is getting nervous. She's getting nervous. She's getting scared. And so what she wants is really, I'm just going to tell you, what she wants is just to say, don't worry, I'm going to take care of it. That's all she wants. She doesn't need you to walk her through the process. She just needs to know you got it. And I said, if you want to give me a quick shout and walk me through it, if you feel the need to do that, then just call me and let me know so that way I know, so that if she calls me and says, hey, what's going on here, I can explain it to her. But I trust you. Notice my language. I trust you implicitly. I know you're going to do a good job for her. Just know that she doesn't need a full explanation. So there's some coaching on, probably around contracts. And then the last one is working right for them and for us. Right now it's a team. It's got to work for everybody. It can't just work for us, and it can't just work for them. It's got to work for the whole team. So there's a lot of, hey, what are the goals here, right? The goal is to get paid. So how do we do that? Hey, is there a way that you can add one line on the contract that says 50% deposit prior to start and last payment due within 5 days, 5 business days, whatever you want, right? Then there's working individually and collaboratively, right? So working individually, sometimes, you may have some things that you do that you take away. We may have some things that we take away, that we do ourselves, that we take ownership of. And then just that conversation that I just shared is collaborative conversation. Hey, what about? There's some really great leading phrases for collaboration. Hey, what about ... Maybe we ... What do you think about ... Those are better than let's ... or do ... right? Because it starts the collaborative process. What do you think about? Maybe we can ... What if we ... right? Those are catchphrases for collaboration. And I found that I was more effective with gathering my teams when I started to use collaborative catchphrases to start, rather than being very directive. If you're in a real time crunch and you need something done, and that gets to this next point, which is work quickly, know when to work quickly and slowly, right? If you're under a super time crunch, then the need for directiveness goes up. Would you guys agree with that? The need to be direct goes up. Are people better with direct or better with collaborative? So when you go into direct, is there risk? Does risk go up? Absolutely. So, but sometimes you got to move quick. So what I've learned to do is, again, to use a catchphrase. Hey, forgive me for being very direct. Can I be direct with you right now? Right? Ask permission to speak directly. Hey, we just got to get this done. So I would ask, can you, and then give them the direct action to take. hey, this is really urgent and we don't have a lot of time to execute. Can I speak directly to you? Can I give you some direct next step or next steps? For many years, I was unaware of the power of my words and my presence, right? For many, it's possible to be unaware of the power and the presence that you have, especially if you're moving fast. So the way to have that conversation is to front end it with, hey, I got to be really direct with you. Can I be direct with you right now? Because sometimes they may say no, right? They may not be in a space. Sometimes they may not be in a space, or they may be, because if I punch someone, when I'm ready to go at someone verbally, if I give them 100% full power of a verbal assault, it's not pretty. I'm going to just be very, very frank. And there are times earlier in my life where I gave people much more than I should have. I'm not too prideful to admit that. And I've learned since to ask permission, that what I'm trying to do, right? The outcome I'm looking for is I'm looking for the person to take corrective action.